Geo Harle.
Oh my gosh, here we are, day one of RE Plus 23.
Day one, just got all set up.
Which I'm assuming stands for renewable energy.
Yes, I believe
Is that a
the
safe
case.
assumption?
Yes.
Yes, very good. And yeah, this is huge. 27,000 attendees.
This is definitely the biggest conference we have ever done this
It's
at.
almost overwhelming.
Currently, I am overwhelmed, but once we get into it, I'm sure it'll calm back down.
And I'm sweating because like been running around like chickens with our head cut off this morning, trying to get set up and everything.
Yeah.
But super excited to be here. This is going to be a fun 3-day event.
Oh, it will.
As always, you're in Vegas, baby.
That's what they say.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. All right, let's get our first two guests introduced.
Yeah.
Here.
Had a couple
Loop 'em
guys
in
walk
here.
by, and let's loop them in.
Yeah, we suckered them into it. They don't know
That's
what they're in for. But
Right.
First we have
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Jeffrey Dean, come from the Irvine.
And who do you work for, Jeffrey?
I work with Recordworks. We are build data center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And we also have Tom. Tom, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, Tom Xu. I'm from San Diego.
Okay.
With a great energy company.
A great energy
What a
company.
name.
I love it. So let's find out a little bit about you guys and what you do. Tell us about the company you work for.
Sure. Actually, I founded this company 2017.
Oh, wow. Okay.
About
Pretty
5
new.
years ago. Yeah. So we do renewable energy, and basically we try to massively use renewable
Okay.
solar, wind, geothermal,
Okay.
and but the renewable energy is intermittent, right?
Yep.
Sometimes have, sometimes doesn't. So you have to have energy storage to store that to
Sure.
make the renewable energy dispatchable.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
that's the whole purpose.
Gotcha.
Oh, nice.
So is your company on the development side or the storage? What side is your company on?
I think we are still in the developing side, and we have a manufacturer in China, and we have so many collaborators globally.
Nice.
Europe, South America, Africa, Middle East, and Asia, and we just get our all the product certified.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In order to use it in US, you have the called UL certification.
Uh-huh.
So we got most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big step.
Yes, it is.
Huge. All right, let's tell us about you, Jeffrey. Talk about your company a little bit.
We are not for the energy industry.
Okay.
Yeah, we are build a data center, but our data center is very innovative. We are not using a cooling.
Oh, wow.
We use air to move in heat.
Okay.
Very, very high tech modular data center.
Wow.
Interesting.
And
PoE can be 1.01.
wow, where are you building these at?
We build right now. We have a demo in Irvine.
In Irvine.
Yeah, 2 megawatt.
2
Okay.
megawatts.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's got to be a very complicated process
Yes.
to get something like that approved.
It means we can, if the people using our modular data center, our
Yep.
technology can
Yep.
save 30 to 40% of the power.
Interesting.
Utilize the power.
Yeah, because we're from Phoenix and we have the TSMC data center there. No, that's the
No,
microchip.
no, that's the chip plant.
The chip
But
plant.
there's
That's
a
the chip
lot
You
plant.
recommend us.
Well, I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together here.
I need to have your car. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. We'll talk
There's,
about that.
Yeah.
there's a lot of data centers.
Yeah,
in,
there's a lot
in, in
everywhere.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
area,
I think almost like 5% of the the power usage for the data center.
Yeah.
Did you say 5% of the
At
power
least.
usage is for?
At least right now, if they go to the 10%, there will be have a law to restriction on how to use the power.
Yeah.
So what you guys are doing is air cooling.
We do not use the cooling. We use the air to move the heat, and meanwhile we use the evaporation. The water will turn into the moisture to bring the heat and increase the humidity. We have smart control.
Natural cool, right?
Yes.
Something like electrical.
Yeah. We have the trademark in the natural air cooling.
Yeah.
God.
Natural air cooling.
Is this like the first of its kind? Is this groundbreaking?
No, I think for AWS, the Facebook, they already use for the hyperscale data center.
Okay.
We call the free cooling.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But we use it for the smaller, only size, scalable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, Tom, your company, you said you started in 2017,
Yes.
right before COVID. Well, shortly before COVID.
Yeah, cold almost killed me.
I was going to say, did COVID create any difficulties for you?
Yes, it was. That's why I built my manufacture by myself in China.
Oh, wow.
Originally, it's just sort of OEM and somebody else built for us. I would just integrate.
Yeah,
But during COVID, we have a project in the Middle East, and almost got a lot of fine because you cannot deliver.
Yeah.
Almost everything shut down.
Yeah.
So then we build our own manufacturer. So we will bring back to US. Very
Gotcha.
soon. Yeah.
So renewable energy in Middle East compared to here, how is it different?
Well, in the Middle East, the more freedom you can install anywhere, but here too much regulation, and you have to conquer this. That's why we're a U.S. company, but we cannot deliver things in the U.S. until now.
Yeah.
Because you get to go through all this, regulation, testing, certification.
Mm-hmm.
But in like Middle East,
Mm-hmm.
some places that we do off grid.
Okay.
There's not much regulation. You just put it there, use the solar, wind, and put storage like it be power. Done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a way big difference, right?
Yeah. So this is really interesting. You provide something he doesn't need.
Maybe we need because we try to use the battery bank to replace the UPS.
Oh, okay.
It's an
They
network.
usually my battery.
Yeah.
With no battery.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
for
why
sure.
we come here to take a look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yes.
you bring two different parties together. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So is this your guys' first time at this conference?
First time. Yeah.
First
Yeah.
time, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I've been here for many times.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty senior for the renewable energy.
Yeah, sure. Right. It seems like a lot of people know you, Tom.
Oh, I guess so. And
Yeah.
a lot of people know me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
That's a good thing. Well, it could be bad, could be good.
Well, it's because he started a great engineering company, or energy company. So of course everybody knows him,
Everybody
right?
wants to know him.
Right.
So are you do you do a lot of travel then as a result of with your company?
Lots of travel.
Yeah.
I just came back from Istanbul, and we have a huge show over there. And
Oh, wow.
we're going to sign the deal with the largest telecom company in
Wow.
Turkey, and the Turkey Telecom.
Okay.
So they're going to write a big deal for us.
Yeah. So you're trying to expand. Like you're not just North America. I mean, you're trying to expand.
Yeah, we're
across the
globally.
globe,
So
yeah.
that's my dream that if we can deploy our energy anywhere, renewable energy, not the traditional, fossil energy.
Yeah.
I'll be very happy. So
Yeah.
or we go North Pole, go South Pole, Europe. You talk about Africa.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have some very good stuff for them, and
Yeah.
particularly for people without electricity.
Oh yeah.
That's close to 1 billion people that don't have electricity at all. Do you know that?
1 billion.
Yeah, close to 1 billion. At least like 800 to 900
Wow.
million people.
That's crazy.
Never ever used electricity before.
That's
So
crazy.
we have a system for them, and
Yeah.
just use solar and
Yeah.
storage.
Yeah.
At least keeping the lights on, right?
Yeah.
So they don't need to burn diesel or something
Sure.
else. Yes.
Yeah. So is this these projects that you're working on? Are they? How are they funded? Are they government funded? I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, particularly for the Africa, some places don't have electricity, they got to go through the government.
Okay.
And also like utilization, they have some program,
Yeah.
and also the World Bank or the Africa Developing Bank,
Okay.
Asia Developing Bank.
Yep.
So definitely the people without electricity, of course, they don't have money for.
Yep.
So we help them, and
Yeah.
we help them to get. There are so many charities, so many organizations
Yeah.
in the United States, in Europe as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to be pretty dialed into those different resources.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we make stuff, sometimes we backseat. So even we make it so nobody afford it because
Yeah.
we cannot just be a charity. If they run out of money,
Right,
we
right.
can.
Yeah.
But we hear, charity is the business, right?
Mhm.
You want to help more people, you got to make money and
Yeah.
just keep it going.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you stop somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes
So,
sense. That makes
yeah.
sense. And how is your project going, Jeffrey? Is the concept proven? Is it going to like get some traction here?
Yeah. Yes. We already built some in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah. Several years ago. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What are you hoping to get out of being here at the conference?
Oh, we just came here to see some friends.
Except for the social aspect.
Like Tom, your friend.
Yeah, you're trying to make friends with them.
Yeah, also the Ken. Yeah.
Yeah. He's buying Tom drinks.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Thank you.
amazing.
I bet you guys are drinks. Well, welcome to San Diego. Either not far from my
Not far, yeah.
About an hour drive.
I spend a fair amount of time in Santa Clarita, Ontario, that area, a little bit further north than you guys.
Oh yeah, that's close to our area.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Exciting. Anything else you want to get out there? What are you excited about, Tom?
Well, think about it. Yeah, I want to talk about a joke about the why we need to use renewable energy. Fossil fuel bring us to here. Almost 100 years of fossil fuel, oil, coal, and lots of oil get this conflict going. All the electricity, but for last couple of years, even now, you say that all the nature disaster, hurricane, wildfire in California, or the flood, everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's me. We need to change.
We need to change.
Particularly renewable energy will do the job. But massively, deploy, take a lot of money or a lot of resources, and sometimes people need to change their mindset. So I was joking because I came from the oil side. My PhD even do the shale gas.
Oh, wow.
And do a lot of consulting in Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And people often say, you're a renewable energy guy. We're not mess around with you and get out of my town.
Yeah.
One time I'm in church, I talk about guys, hey, everybody here, we, worship the God. And let me tell you the truth. Actually, God told you to use the renewable. Because why? The solar, wind, area you attach.
Yes. Right.
That's just around you.
Yep.
Not that God is
Why not put it to use?
Right. But the coal, oil, they got to hide in the deep earth.
Interesting.
Why you go dig it?
Yeah. It's a good point.
You're right. I said, guys, just don't eat that apple.
Yeah.
That's great.
They're supposed to hide in the on the earth. You're digging out and mess around, pollute the world.
Yeah.
And people first say, hey, Don, you're no attack. And so that's not real. And finally, I said, oh, maybe, because we put something on the church and during, there's a lot of Toledo in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
One time they wipe out all the grid. Only the church keep the lights on because we put the microgrid there.
Yep.
Solar and the storage.
Yep.
People say, hey, that might be the God.
Right. And it's a lot lower cost too.
Yeah. You don't need to pay a fuel and just stay there for 20 some years. So that's how I was thinking. People without electricity at all, why not just give them directly the renewable energy? Don't give them a gas or oil.
Yeah.
So
I love it. How about you, Jeffrey? What are you excited about?
I think
Besides buying Tom drinks.
Yes. They will build so many the energy field.
Yeah.
If they have extra energy, I suggest they can build more data center to use up. Use up the power, the energy.
Sure.
Yeah.
But definitely we're going to team together.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys are doing some great things.
So.
Super cool. Well, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you sitting down with us for a few minutes and enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Sean. And I'll be get back to Phoenix with you guys.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We'd love to see you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go. We got Ashley with us. Ashley, why don't you just tell us who you are, who you're with, and what you do.
Thanks. Yeah, my name's Ashley Hallene. I work with Demeter Land Development. We are a site origination team. We work with developers on community size and utility size solar. We're kind of the early stage. We basically, they point us in a direction for where they want to lease land at, and we go out to the farmers and the landowners. And get to know them and just make the deals happen, help them get their sites acquired.
Make the deals happen.
Love that.
I like that. So what role do you play in making the deals happen?
Yeah, so I'm the site acquisition specialist. So not only do I go out with the landowners and actually do the introductions and help facilitate that negotiation, I also train the land agents to be able to go out and do it themselves. So we have a pretty successful team that we're building, about 8 people that across the country. And yeah, it's been a great time.
What's the typical size of a site that you guys would be looking at?
So on the community side, it's about 30 to 50 acres is ideally what we'll look at, although we try to lock in as much as possible for the maximum flexibility. It can go up to 100 acres depending on the market. If you've got a 5 to 10 megawatt size system, and then utility scale size gets into the hundreds and hundreds of acres. So
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So who do you work with? I think you said like farmers. That's a typical client of yours?
Yeah, because they're typically the ones with, long flat land,
Yeah.
a lot of acres together. They're closer to the substations. You don't want to necessarily be right in town, so a little bit out of town, but close enough to a market that you've got some off takers. And so usually it's the farmers, getting on in age and, figuring out what they're going to do for the next generation. They want to keep the farmland in the family, but they don't necessarily want to their kids might not want to farm it the way that they did. So this just kind of works out for both parties. They get to keep their land. They've got guaranteed income for a long period of time. And
it's a win-win.
Everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. That's all that matters. Everybody's happy.
Is there like a combo where they can keep the farmland and still get some solar on there? I mean, is that a thing that people talk about?
Yeah. So some of the developers we work with are exploring agrivoltaics where they can continue farming even with the panels on there. Some of them will work with like grazing sheep or, tomato vines or something that's maybe a shade resistant crop. So they try to work with the farmers. On top of that, whenever they're putting in these systems, they're also planting in pollinators to surround it so that and not only is it helping the farmer on his adjoining land, but also the rest of the community. So it's not just, the farmer getting paid for his solar panels. It's, everybody kind of benefits from it.
Right.
So there's a storage component as well as a distribution component?
In some systems there is. Some places will try to add on, especially like you got markets like Texas, California. They're all trying to add that battery storage optionality to it to be able to really shore up the electrical grid system and make a good contribution. And so that's kind of developing as well. So that multi-use, multi-benefit kind of setup.
And is that where most of your projects are, like in Texas and California?
No, actually, I've gone all over the U.S. A lot in the Midwest. You're Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois. All over the place, Pennsylvania. So California and Texas are kind of newer markets. So
So you're doing a lot of traveling.
A pretty good bit, yeah. But a lot of it's done remotely, especially like post-COVID. Pre-COVID, there was a lot more traveling. A lot of farmers, they don't want to do a deal with you unless they're looking you in the eye.
Sure.
So you kind of have to go to where they are. And then, COVID hit and you get a lot more just talking to people on the phone. But we're starting to get back to that, like face-to-face meetings and everything like that. So.
Do you get into a lot of the due diligence part of the acquisition and to kind of help? Is that another service that you guys
we do, and that's actually been my specialty because my background came from oil and gas for about 11 years, and I specialized in due diligence and curing title and working with that. And anytime you're dealing with family-owned farmland that's been passed down generation to generation, you have to be kind of familiar with their history and how how things went, who got what, and how things were split up. Or if you've got like minerals severed, then you got to know who owns what now and who do we got to get permission from. So.
Interesting. Part attorney, part land surveyor.
Yes.
I mean,
part geotechnical engineer.
Everybody's a part land surveyor. They just don't know it yet.
Or they want to be.
Or they want to be.
Yeah, for sure. So what are the common challenges that you have to deal with?
A lot of it is understanding and being able to explain to the landowner, like what happens at reclamation, the decommissioning process, how, not only how do you get into the agreement, but how do we get out of this agreement? What's going to happen to my children when they're are they going to be left with like a wasteland of broken panels? And of course, that's not what happens at all. But it's just kind of explaining the process to them in a way that they really see the whole picture and what's going on so that they have a comfort level with everything.
And is there typically pushback, or how is it? Or on average, are you approaching landowners that want to talk to you because they are looking to do some kind of transaction, or is it get off my porch, you or urban, whatever?
So it depends on your strategy, right? If you go out there cold, you're going to get a lot of that. Not on my land, not in my backyard kind of mentality. The way we do it is kind of a warmer approach. So we'll send out letters and just invite them to contact us if they're interested in learning more. And so that works out a little bit better. So the people who typically call into us are interested in hearing more and doing something like that on their land.
Okay.
You get a little bit of the nosy neighbor who just wants to know if anybody else is calling so they can like hunt them down. But
Yeah. What is the permitting process like?
So that's a lot more like local township level. So that's,
Yeah.
it's usually the county or the township, sometimes the city. It's a lot more you get to know the neighbors a lot better then, because everybody comes out to kind of get an opinion, express their thoughts on everything. But it's a fun process. It changes everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a puzzle that you just never quite know what to expect.
Yeah. That's probably a fun part of the job though, because like every acquisition, I guess, is different, has different challenges and also different rewards, right? I mean, it's probably a very rewarding job as well.
It is. I enjoy it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you excited about?
Right now I'm excited to see the dual use agrivoltaics kind of growing, because I think that is a big deal for a lot of the landowners. That way they can tell their neighbors, oh no, we haven't given up good farmland. We're just making more use of it.
Right.
So I'm very excited about that. I'm excited to see what new markets are coming online. I'll be really excited when legislation passes in some of the markets we've already got a foothold in. So
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and is that something where, what's the zoning look like on agrivoltaics? And is that a hurdle that you have to worry about?
zoning kind of goes hand in hand with the permitting. Some of your areas are going to have no zoning, which is awesome. And then some are going to have, like, you have to do conditional use permits and change it. They'll say that solar panels are considered commercial as opposed to agricultural use. So
Oh, yeah.
that's where it gets a little trickier.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good stuff. What else? Anything else you want to get out there?
Yeah. What do you want to get out to all the listeners here?
So Demeter Land Development is a very functional, multi-talented team. They not only do they do the site origination, they've also expanded into the permitting and regulatory impacts of things. So they're interested in doing full-scale development. And so if anybody out there is looking for assistance or boots on the ground, we're here.
Awesome.
How do they get a hold of you?
So they can go to the website www.demeter.land, and I'm also if you're listening and you're in the RE Plus app, I've registered there, so
Okay.
feel free to reach out and contact me, and
Awesome.
Sure.
I'll make it happen.
Good
That sounds
stuff.
great.
Ashley, thank you so much for spending a few minutes
thanks
with
for
us.
stopping by.
Thank you, guys.
bet. Okay. So this is amazing.
Here we go.
Here we go. We have another Kent with us. Can
We
you believe
found
that?
another Kent?
I would like to bet that we are the only two Kents out of the 27,000 people that are here.
I will take that bet.
You would?
Oh,
You think there's
I
another
think
one?
there is at least 4 here.
No.
Out of
That's the
27,000
over-under?
out of 27,000 people,
It's
I'm setting the over under at 4.
I will take the under all day long.
Okay, tonight's tab on I can find another Kent by the end of the day.
Well, no, you need to find 2 more.
I'm saying 2 more by the end of the week. Another one by the end of the day.
That won't happen.
Okay.
Yeah, not going to happen. I agree with you.
Not going to happen.
There's none of us.
All right.
And Ken doesn't count.
Ken does not. I hate the name Ken.
Yes, me too.
Drives me insane. Like Barbie and Ken. So, of course, all of a sudden it's popular again.
You're like Ken's naughty cousin that's not allowed at the dream house.
Yes, exactly. All right. Let's do self-introduction. Kent, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Ken Harle. I'm the owner of Stellar Solar out of San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah.
So
Whale's vagina or something like that.
So tell us a little bit about the company. How long ago did you just start it, or what do you do, and what are you doing here?
Well, we started in 1998, but we really done only solar since about 2003. So we're kind of veterans in this. We've been doing a long time. We're the oldest in San Diego. There were some people before us, but we're the oldest remaining. So
Oh, wow.
we do a lot of residential and a fair amount of commercial work every year. Mostly San Diego, Orange County. Venture a little bit out up into the farm areas of Central California, but
So is this primarily residential stuff, or what's a typical project for y'all?
yeah, I mean, we do, 1,500 residential a year and probably 50 commercial. So, I mean, it's balanced, but I mean, the commercial is more panels, but the resis kind of takes up all of our day jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So,
So are there certain parts of California that are more conducive to utilizing solar than others? Or is this like a universal solution to everybody?
well, all of California has been a pretty good market. They kind of just wrecked it this last year, though, with I don't know what you guys know about the California market, but net metering 3 or net metering 2 has gone away. So our net metering is not very favorable for homeowners anymore.
Interesting.
Okay.
Really what it's done, and the other side of it is, I mean, part of it, I understand the utilities, we have more solar in California and then they can use during the day. So really what our systems all pretty much 100% nowadays have batteries.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the big change, but it makes it more expensive.
Yeah. So the solar is stored in the battery.
Yep.
And this is like a residential battery type thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Tesla battery or
Well,
something.
we sell a ton of Tesla batteries.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
We sell the others too, but
yeah.
that's the Powerwall's the big one right now.
Cool. And people are saving tons of money with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we our peak time rates in like from 4 to 9 are 83 cents a kilowatt hour.
Wow.
Compared to like Florida, Texas, some of those that are, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, so it's insane. Now, only a period of the day, but that's right when you come home. That's right when you come home, start cooking, throw your
turn
laundry
everything
in.
on when you get home, right?
Yeah.
So, the idea is now that you generate your power during the day, put it in the battery, use what you can during the day, put it in the battery, and then use that from 4 to 9, and then buy the cheap electricity after midnight for your car or whatever.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. So you've been doing this a long time, like you said, 2003, correct? So like my impression is that in the early days, let's say, people were a little skeptical about solar, the investment, that type thing. Do you still run across that? Are people still skeptical? Or are they much more accepting of the idea?
The people that are skeptical don't buy. I've been dealing with one guy literally so first off, I've been to every single RE or solar power since 2005.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
I met one guy at 2008 or 2007 in San Jose, and he's been talking about going solar since 2007. He just signed this year.
Oh, jeez.
Literally. And, we'll see if he actually continues and goes through with it. We're in permitting right now.
Now, do you calculate all of the opportunity costs that he had waiting this whole time?
He's actually a friend of mine, so I'll give him a little bit of a pass.
Right.
But, so that's the unusual thing. But, I'm sorry. What was the question?
You answered it. So
I know what you're going to say though. Or early adopters. So, early on, it was fun because early adopters just have to have it.
Right.
They don't care.
Oh, true.
The early adopters want it's just like a car comes out.
Sure.
They'll pay $10,000 over sticker or whatever. It's like, who does that? Because they have to have it. So we're selling in Michigan right now. We're just starting there. Oh. And even though Michigan started and stopped a few times in solar, they're very into it now. And it's early adopters that are buying. And it's kind of fun to sell those guys again because
they're excited and you're excited and they don't worry about all of the
they
details.
just want somebody good. They don't get 10 quotes and try to nickel and dime you on everything because they just want it. It's fun.
Why Michigan? I mean, that doesn't seem like a popular solar source. A lot of cloudy, rainy days in Michigan.
But the electric car industry is big up there. And so that brings a lot of talk about it. Yeah. There's some legislation coming down the pipe that we think is going to be good for it. And Michigan's kind of, in my opinion, they're kind of on the rebound as far as economy goes. The car companies are coming back. They're making money. They're making cars and battery factories and all that kind of stuff. So people are hearing about, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's LG's putting a big battery factory there, those kinds of things. So when they see those, they start going, well, what else is this good for?
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I'm curious about how is the market, how is your company in the market in California? I mean, what differentiates you between everyone else? Is there 50 providers? I mean,
like I'm mostly San Diego is my primary business. And there's 500 at one time,
Really?
So it's crazy. A lot of them don't do that many jobs, but there's 100 pretty serious competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And,
so what differentiates your company from?
We're the oldest. We've been there the longest. We've won, we've won the best of award, like 11 out of the last 13 years in San Diego. Nice. I don't know how to shut that off, but
congrats.
We've been here. We're local. There's a few local players that are pretty good, and we all kind of band together and, hey, if you're going to get a quote from somebody else, go to this guy.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Cool. The big guys, we try to push them out. Our market's quite different than some. There's no more door knockers in San Diego. There's no more people just trying to sell you on the spot, promising you big savings. That, we dabbled a little bit in Florida, but that's such a new market. And, and since the cost of electricity is cheap, and it's all people knocking on the door saying, hey, I can save you money today, sign right here.
Yep.
But it's only today.
Yeah.
And that's just not who we are,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. We're from Phoenix. And I can remember, gosh, I don't know, during COVID especially, like you had tons of people knocking on your doors, and just trying to sell you all kinds of shit. But it seemed like the solar people were like relentless.
Yes.
Yeah. But you're thinking like Arizona's like You would think it's like the best solar state, right?
You would think so. Yeah.
Your electricity is kind of cheap. So
yeah. That's the
um,
difference is the,
I
the
gotcha,
rates are cheap. So,
but
Yeah.
no, it's a big market. I mean, everybody's going solar. Lots of people have opened offices there, and because there's so many people there, we shied away with it. We went to Michigan of all places.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
yeah.
So what does the maintenance look like on these systems that you're putting in now with the batteries and everything? What does the maintenance on a system like that look like?
set it,
If it's
forget
broke, call us. Yeah, set it, pretty much. So that being said, I mean, I love the old days of the simplistic, hey, just plug it in. If the green light's on, it's working. If it's red, call us.
Yep.
And the electricity going through the meter, both directions was the same cost. So it was very simple. I miss those days. But with the batteries, I wouldn't call it maintenance, but you got to be a little more on top of it. You got to be a little bit more on programming your house and be a little more in tune with the apps and how you actually run your household.
Yeah.
So it's changed a lot. And then, again, I'm just because I'm old and been doing it too long, it's like I miss the old simple days.
Yeah.
And,
So is the technology changing as it pertains to the solar?
well, I mean,
drastically, or is it
No.
just getting slightly better? And I mean, you got 100 different providers that are at this conference every year, right?
you know what we don't talk about anymore is the panels, because the panels have all gotten very good. There's lots of good manufacturers. They don't have,
Right.
and the prices are all very similar. For a while, it was like, new technologies and people trying stuff.
Because I remember it was like you couldn't get the materials, and there was one material
Oh,
you
yeah.
couldn't get,
Yeah.
and then that just spiked and went
Something
crazy.
was always
yeah,
in
something
short
was
supply.
right.
And then the inverters, they've gotten pretty mainstream. There's a few major players. The battery technology is where we're seeing like the new frontier.
Okay.
Since the net meter in California changed, the amount of battery manufacturers coming into knocking on the door with seemingly good products, but how do you choose? I
Sure.
can't install everybody.
Yep.
I can't be so.
Yeah. So you have to form strategic partnerships.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I've worked with Enphase for years. We've worked with Tesla for a long time.
Yeah.
Those are kind of my go-to right now, but I don't know if they're the end all be all. We'll see,
Sure.
But right now they're seemingly pretty good products.
Yeah. That's cool. That's awesome.
So what else are you excited about? Where does this go in the next 5 years?
Well, like I say,
batteries keep getting smaller and smaller, and
yeah, I think so. Simpler, hopefully.
Yeah.
What am I excited about? We're in rebuilding again. I mean, because we had record sales before the net metering ran out in mid-April,
okay.
and honestly, sales in California are off 80+% right now. So
Wow.
it's kind of rebuilding, but we'll be fine because we've been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
We've reinvented ourselves several times in there.
Yeah.
But it's like, gosh, starting over again. It's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
how do we sell? How do we explain it to people? All that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
What about AI? Do you get any gotten that question? Because you mentioned, you got to educate the homeowner and monitor what their house is doing and keep track on the app. And the first thing probably a lot of people think of is, can't somebody or something do that for me?
You know what? I think it's coming. I'm not technical enough personally. We have people in our office that are very up on all the AI stuff, and we have a strategy, but we're not really doing much with it yet. I think from a marketing and lead gen perspective, that's probably where we're using it most.
Yeah.
But there are people out there that are starting to incorporate it, and maybe I'll find something here at the show for that. Honestly,
sure.
It's not going away.
Yeah.
Right.
That's for sure.
Exactly.
That's for sure. Or just hire some young people that are totally.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I was just telling somebody the other day, we've got 5 or 6 young people in our company now that I'm very excited about, because I can see they're kind of the future for us, because they're sharp. They want to do things. They're into this stuff. They got our back. So
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. What else do you want to get out there? How do people find more if they're interested in San Diego? And
stellarsolar.net. You can pretty much just Google Stellar Solar. If you're in Michigan, that's actually where I really want to generate some leads too. So
okay.
obviously it's stellarsolar.net, and then there's a /Michigan. But if you put that in there,
Yeah. We know people in Michigan.
Yeah.
You never know.
you never know.
Tell them the Geoholic sent you.
Yeah.
I will.
Ken, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great to
Appreciate
meet
it.
you. Appreciate your
Yeah,
time.
thank you.
guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
I will. Appreciate having me on.
We are back.
Man, time is flying.
It really is.
We must tell people that if you hear that annoying noise in the background. We are at a renewable energy conference, and there is a massive solar panel.
Yeah, what is that thing called? The Megatron?
I have no idea, but strategically, we didn't select this location, so there is a little bit of background noise, and we apologize.
Yeah, this I don't know what 100-foot wide
It's
solar
massive.
thing,
It's huge.
solar panel
Yeah,
is
we'll take a picture.
rotating. It's pretty wild. So
But yeah, we'll post some pictures. But so we got another guest with us. We
Yeah.
got Nate. Nate, why don't you go ahead and give us a self introduction, who you are, who you're with, and kind of what you do.
Hi, my name is Nate Bender. I'm an investor with Constellation Technology Ventures. We're the venture capital arm of Constellation Energy, the largest producer of clean power in the country.
oh wow, cool.
Top that, Sean.
Yeah, really.
So you guys got some pretty cool projects going on right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got several portfolio companies showing here at the show,
Nice.
Okay.
as well as I'm here to see what there is to see.
Awesome.
Looking for new companies to potentially invest in.
Interesting. So do you yourself have a booth here?
We do not.
You do not. So you're in a little bit different position. You're kind of on the shopping side of things, right? For lack of a better term.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll go with shopping.
Yeah, that's cool. So what do you love about what you do?
What do I love about what I do? I mean, we sit at the nexus of clean energy, right? So I get to
Yeah.
look at everything from, say how power is generated,
Yep.
how it's managed, stored, sold, traded, all of the above.
And you guys are looking to invest in companies across that whole spectrum.
Across that whole spectrum. I mean, everything that we do touches on the power industry in one way or another.
Okay.
And it ranges from, say, we have company Operant Networks showing here at the show. They are cybersecurity, specifically for DER, critical infrastructure,
Okay.
real-time control systems. Another company that's here, Kavala, they're site sourcing, but they also do land planning, basically power flows and residential all the way up to all the way from residential meters all the way up to the bulk power system, a complete digital twin of the grid that people
Wow.
can actually ask questions on. So
You are speaking our language.
So you got your hands in a little bit of everything.
yeah. Like I said, it always relates to power. But
Yeah.
We have our hands everywhere.
Yeah. So cool. How in the heck did you get involved with this? Have you been in renewables for a long time or?
I've been with Constellation Energy, Exelon, before we split off from Exelon about a year ago for coming up on 11 years now.
Okay.
Awesome.
What's your background?
My background was in IT. And from IT, I started working in our innovation group. And from our innovation group, I eventually was able to pivot into the venture group.
Yeah. So what are some of the more exciting developments on the power side that you can talk about?
I think the concept of 24/7 clean energy, right, is when I first started looking at renewables, it always confused me. Like, wait a minute. So I can call myself green because I bought a REC from a solar farm or a wind farm 3 states over that generated that REC a month before I ever used the power, or a month after. Right? And when we needed that, right? We needed that
Sure.
construct to sort of get up and started. But now the idea that we can match power when it's consumed to power when it's generated, and you can't really claim you're truly running on 100% green energy until you're 24/7 matching, makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a really exciting development within the industry. And I think it's going to drive a lot of new investment and a lot of new ways of thinking about how we site power, right? How we store it, like how we ultimately use it.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about the storage side of it a little bit and just kind of like what the challenges are.
Yeah. So I heard a great term this morning that I think I'm going to remember it now because it's the 4 families of solar. Which I think it's like, it's like the 5 families in New York.
Yeah.
Four families of solar. And it's interesting, right? Because you got vastly different economics and vastly different use cases, right? So you have mechanical, you have electrochemical. It gives you the idea, at least, of the 4 different kinds of solar. So, pumped hydro would be, an example of the 4 types of storage.
Yeah.
So pumped hydro would be a good example of another type of storage. So, I mean, it's doesn't necessarily work yet in all use cases.
Yeah.
Right. So, long duration energy storage, I think is something, we crunch the numbers a lot. It's hard to see how an IPP start deploying, say, long duration energy storage, but a lot of the market is a lot of federal funds flowing into that space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Consumers going and trying to do storage at the home makes a lot of sense, right? Like my mother's a great example. She lives on a farm. It's at the very end of a feeder. They lose power like once a week.
Yeah.
That she has batteries and a solar right now allows her to live without ever having to think about it. And so, but very different sort of decision mechanisms, very different economics go into to those kinds of decisions.
Yeah. So it seems like it's rapidly evolving, like all aspects of renewables is evolving so rapidly. How do you stay on top of it? How do you stay abreast of this?
Going to things like this is a big part of it. Continuous reading. I consider it a relaxing evening to sit down with a 200-page DOE study about, say, the future of geothermal, and it's like you learn a lot, right? And you can't stop because all the parts and pieces are all moving all at the same time, trying to keep up and abreast of what's going on.
Sure. And if you do stop, you're just going to get left behind. Just like
like anything, really.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a magic word, and I got to unpack it just a little bit. You talked about a company that's putting together a digital twin from residential all the way to the grid. You got to give us a little bit more about, is that like a nationwide thing? And is that something that they are creating for a resource for other companies, or can you give us any more info on that?
Yeah. So the company is called Kavala. And they originally started off as a siting tool for solar developers, and it was a lot of publicly sourced data, right? Like maps and what was publicly available about the grid in particular locations, that kind of thing. But they've since grown from that to now being a fairly comprehensive digital twin of the electrical grid. They're now becoming fairly well known because they just recently published a study for the California Public Utility Commission looking at the impact of complete EV sort of electrification of transportation without the state, and where and how the state would need to invest and able to meet those electrification targets. And that's had a lot of, it was a project that was put together by the CPUC, but all the major utilities in the state participated, and they all contributed data into this one comprehensive platform so they could come out with this study.
Oh, wow.
And that's the kinds of things that Kavala does, right? And so their customers range from solar developers looking for siting information, say EV charger deployers looking for, where on the grid might they say deploy EV chargers, not just for, where the EV customers are, but also to make sure that you're keeping social impact in mind. All the way up to utilities, right? Thinking about how different changes or different mixes on the grid are going to, affect their the rate case that their customers are paying, and what impacts that might have.
So on that note, what has the advancement of electronic vehicles done to power distribution? It's like it's changed the landscape of it, right?
Yeah, it's one of the great, I would say, factors in how power distribution is being changed, along with just general electrification, like people moving away from gas and starting to move to things like heat pumps. But EVs in particular, people don't, I think, appreciate just how much power an EV charger can draw. So the way I like to think of it is, if you have two houses next to each other and each one gets an EV charger, it's like adding a third house's worth of electricity.
Oh yeah. That's what a lot of the talk is, and just I'm sure around here is everyone goes EV. We are not even close to having enough to cover everybody, and it's got to come from somewhere.
Crazy. Wow.
Which is why this conference is so massive, is because there's such a big demand and all this new fancy stuff happening.
And do we have the solution? I mean, does anybody really have the solution?
I mean, they're not going to be the solution.
It's not it's
many solutions.
Yeah.
Right? So in some cases, it's adding storage to your EV charger, right? And so, there are companies out there doing that, where they'll couple it with a battery, or, an interesting case of like, I can't think of the company's name, but they're out there and they've got an EV charger coupled with a flywheel. There's a mechanical storage mechanism.
Interesting.
The idea being is that you get that sort of initial rush of draw when your car is charging, but then you're not translating that into a huge burden onto the grid for a moment.
Oh,
It's
okay, yeah.
something you can draw down that power draw off the grid over time.
Yeah.
And potentially if you, say you're California, you're thinking of time of use rates, you can, not pull power from the grid during certain periods, but still allow people to charge their cars.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So that'd be
So
one
interesting.
example.
Yeah, and there's it's got to be a combination of all those things. Some
Yeah.
storage, some looking at just peak rates and draw, and eventually they can, figure it out. But if
Yeah.
everyone right now had an EV and they got home at 5:00 and all plugged it in, it would be a big problem.
Yeah. So it seems like there's, obviously 27,000 attendees at this conference and a gazillion exhibitors, and everybody has a part of the solution.
Mhm.
It seems like it just gets like the whole thing just gets really muddied up, And like, how do you filter out the solutions that maybe aren't so good and really focus on those that, you want to bring into like your portfolio or whatever?
That is a very difficult thing to
Well,
do.
if he told you that, then, he wouldn't have a job anymore. And
I mean, it's a lot of research and preparation in advance of something like this, and then coming in and having, specific questions to ask to specific companies or specific people. And a lot of it is staying targeted, right? Like, and not necessarily trying to think of like all of the potential areas of technological development investment all at the same time. I'm oftentimes looking for, one particular thing. I'm looking for, a best-in-class microgrid controller, for example, or, some sort of like novel storage chemistry.
Sure.
And so, going in with that sort of like targeted view in mind and having done a lot of baked sort of research, both on the technology area and on the companies available, at least helps you make sense of it.
sure.
Yeah. Cool.
So what else are you excited about? What else you want to get out there?
I think cybersecurity is something we all need to be thinking about a lot in this industry. Solar development was really a let's put steel in the ground type of business when it first started off. But now, you're seeing more and more large developers starting to, participate in merchant markets, competitive energy markets. Solar and storage are becoming critical infrastructure in and of themselves. And so we need to be thinking about them in the same terms, right? Like, are your inverters safe? It can, if somebody wants to go and do something malicious with them, are you making that difficult out of the box? Or do you have the right partners involved with, say, your site design to go and prevent calamity?
Sure. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Well, they're just, somewhat related, I guess, but you see these stories all the time. We're from Phoenix, and there's a couple electric vehicle manufacturers there. I think Nokia's got the truck,
and Lucid's
there. There's a bunch of them, but you also have been hearing a lot of stories lately. Maybe because it's so freaking hot in Phoenix, I have no idea. But these vehicles catching on fire, because of the batteries or what have you. And I just wonder if that's something that we're going to be hearing more and more about, or if it's isolated. We don't have it all figured out, right?
Yeah, this is not a problem that I've been keeping track of, but for sure we don't have it all figured out.
Yeah.
Right? But it's things like this where, everybody's trying something and everybody's trying something a little bit different. And there's not just going to be one solution to it all. We need this is the most complex problem humanity's probably ever faced. And you're going to need a lot of solutions.
Wow, so crazy. Well, cool. Well, Nate, we appreciate your time. This has been great.
Yeah.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
We're back.
We are back. It's almost lunchtime. Actually, it's past lunchtime.
Still day one.
What the heck?
I know.
We haven't got any food.
I
What's
know.
the deal?
I think we need a better concierge.
Do we need an upgraded badge or something?
We need to look into that. And we've got another couple interviews at 1, and
I think one of them just canceled, actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we'll free up for lunch after that. But in the meantime, we have Shannon with us. Shannon, why don't you go ahead and just quick self-introduction, who you are, who you're with, and kind of what you do.
Sure. So my name is Shannon. I am originally from New Jersey, which is where our company is based out of. I'm currently the operations manager for Define Solar. We've been open for almost 2 years now. We're currently located and operating in New Jersey, but we're starting to expand in the market and we're looking at Illinois right now.
Okay.
Illinois.
What's the name of the company?
Define Solar.
Define Solar. All right.
Interesting. So seems like a lot's going on in the Midwest as it pertains to solar.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think in the last 10 years, the solar industry just nationwide has really boomed. Like you see an incredible amount of growth in the jobs. It's not something that you're required to have a degree for. It's really the only industry that I've ever worked in my entire life where you can get in at a ground level.
Yep.
Start out as the guy that's like pushing paperwork and work yourself into an executive position. And really, since the 80s, when have you ever heard of anyone starting out in the mailroom and working their way up?
Yeah.
You don't really hear it too much. Whereas the solar industry, you get your hands-on training in the position that you're in. You have an incredible amount of people that you can learn from different varying things of, your lead generation to installation to operations. So it never really gets boring.
Sure. Yep. Great energy. Love
That
this.
is crazy.
So how did you get into it?
So actually, it's kind of crazy for me how I got into it. I went on a missions trip to Belize a few years back, and at the time I was working in the recovery industry, mainly working for rehab facilities and halfway houses and aftercare, that kind of thing. And when I was in Belize, I got a call from my boss that said, "Hey, I'm sorry, unfortunately, like, company's not working out so well. Like, we have to go through some layoffs." And I was like, "Oh no!" I had literally spent my last dollar to go on this mission trip.
No.
And my pastor comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, there's this guy Mike. I think you guys would hit it off really well." And I'm like, "Okay." I start talking to Mike, and when we get back, he gives me a call and he's like, "Hey, Shannon, I was wondering if you'd be interested in the data entry position. Pays $15 an hour." And I was like, "That's more than I'm making right now." This was going back 10 years ago.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, absolutely, I'd love to." And I show up to the company. I'm like, "Hey, I'm here for an interview with Mike." And they're like, "Which Mike?" I'm like, "What do you mean, which Mike?" They're like, "Well, we have 7 of them." And I'm like, "He's Italian. He's got a lot of tattoos." And they were like, "All right, now we're down to 6. And so I sat down at the table. I wound up meeting with the chief operating officer at that time. And I had gone to technical school for high school.
Yep.
And with that, I had gotten my CAD certification, and he found out that I actually had a little more experience than just someone that could do data entry. So he said, "Well, I think 15 is a little low, and I'd rather pay you 17. Is that okay by you?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Just keeps getting
absolutely."
better.
So I dove into it immediately. I started out with the interconnection permitting procedures, state incentives, and I had to do all of the paperwork from your initial permissions to your final permissions to get operational and eventually claim those credits.
Yeah.
I worked my way up into project management, where I was overseeing installation crews, learning the install side of things, learning the electrical components, learning what the code requirements were. Eventually from there, I moved over into sales operations, ran a concierge department of 65 people. And then about 2 years ago, me and our CEO, Will Carabello, we decided to get together and start Define Solar and, determine how we wanted to define the industry.
Nice.
Very cool. So speaking of the industry, is it a male dominated industry?
I think that yes, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
But I think that most construction-based businesses are male.
Yeah. I assumed it was.
And I'm not going to say that it's hard as a female. I wouldn't say that there's any. I've never really felt like I couldn't go somewhere because of my gender.
Okay.
I've always been given a seat at the table if I earned it.
Yeah.
This is an industry that doesn't spoil you in the way of, "Oh, well, we're going to give you this and we're going to give you a raise every year," but they will spoil you with every opportunity of anything that you want to try.
Yeah.
You don't like one portion of the business, you can go into something else.
Yeah.
And as long as you I think that really kind of goes for anything in life. If you bring that dedication and that passion,
Sure.
There's no stopping you into paving your own way.
Yep. So what do you love about it?
Honestly, the fact that it never gets boring, and the fact that I can do a little bit of everything. Most desk jobs, it's the same thing,
sure.
punch in, punch out, same data over and over again. Whereas this, I can really dive deep into data analytics and then, cross over into the customer side of things and cross over to the installation. So if you're someone who, needs that variety, it's a great industry to get into. If you're someone that, doesn't really like variety, doesn't like when things get a little crazy, a little busy, then, it wouldn't be really something for you.
Sure. So what are you hoping to get out of the show here, or what really drove you to come?
So really what drove us to come is to, kind of get out, meet new people, really establish some good relationships, meet people across the nation, see how they're kind of doing things, what's working for them, what's not working for them, establishing better relationships and better rapport with our finance partners who have also come out. So it's really just kind of like the meet and greet, and let's see like how everyone can grow together.
Oh,
That's cool.
it seems like that's been a common thread, like let's grow together. There's a lot of challenges, obviously, across the industry, but the common feeling I've gotten from the people we've talked to so far, which has only been 4 or 5, whatever, is that we all need to work together.
Oh, absolutely. I think that, as far as the industry goes, that there is a little bit of a struggle in some companies as far as like interdepartment communication goes. Sometimes you'll see where there's like a resentment kind of towards your sales reps because your sales reps are your top people and, they're bringing in the money and they're flashy and they're loud. And then, you change and you go to another company and you kind of see how they're doing. And with our company, the thing that I love about them that's kind of really made this like, this is the place that I want to call home forever is the fact that no one person's job is more important than the next. If you don't have a call center that's setting appointments, you're not getting sales reps in houses.
Right.
If you don't have sales reps getting in houses, you're not closing deals.
Yep.
If operations isn't pushing that paperwork, you're not getting installs. And if installs aren't happening, then no one's getting the benefits of solar energy. So there's no, oh, I'm here on the totem pole and you're down here. Everyone's on the same exact page. And it's so interdependent upon the next process that everyone has to kind of flow together in order for us to keep moving in the direction we want to go.
Yeah, it's like a gear, like the gears. This one turns that one, blah, blah, blah. Same type thing. And it seems like you're in the perfect position for you because you started at the bottom and worked your way up through everything you just talked about. And now you're an operations manager. And I think it sounds like your experience has just situated you perfectly for this.
Oh, absolutely. I can always say that like I've been able to learn a lot of this kind of on my own. I jokingly tell some people would say, how do you know so much about solar? And I was like, well, honestly, I was interested in it. So I started on the method of like click it until you break it or Google it until you figure out. And, anybody that I could meet or talk to and say, hey, what do you do in your job? And hey, I'm done. I'm caught up with all my work. Can I learn how to do your job? So I just like know how to do it. So when these questions come out of left field, usually I either already know the answer or I know exactly how to find the answer. You know what I mean? And that's another one of those things with the industry. It's like that you're not really going to get anywhere else.
Yeah. So your company, I'm sure there's a lot of competition out there.
Sure.
What would you say separates your company from the others?
We believe in our product. We're honest. We believe in open communication with our customers. One of the things that I think a lot of people struggle with is their customer service department in saying like, ooh, we got a little bit of bad news and I don't want to really relay that to the customer. So let me try and go around the bush or beat around the bush. Whereas instead, like with our customers, we're very upfront from the beginning. We do not believe in a sell or die tactic. We believe that we have a great product and that it is beneficial for you. And if at the end of the day, we find out that you have something like, let's say, you get government benefits from being in the military or something like that. And that benefit is better for you.
Sure.
We're not going to try and lie to you and say that solar is better for you. Instead, we'll say, hey, you might actually be in a better position. We actually genuinely care about our customer and we really put them first. In doing that, the other thing is it comes down to the relationship. It's not just the customer. We also, when we first opened, we didn't have sales for 3 months, it was a little stressful.
Yeah.
But instead of sitting around going, oh, well, what can we learn or what can we do? It was, what better relationship could we establish? So we called every single township in the state of New Jersey and said, hey, what are your specific requirements? What are your turnaround times? Like, what do we have to do to be compliant with you? We want to have a great relationship. And then when townships would like jump for us to like, and there's townships that I've worked with now that 5 years ago, me trying to get anything from them with the company that I was with, I just couldn't do it. Whereas like now they'll immediately jump on it. We get our turnaround times within usually about a week.
Oh, wow.
About a week, and a lot of other companies that we have in our state are looking at anywhere between 3 and 6 months.
Wow.
So I think that's really what sets us apart is that we've understood the value from the very beginning in a relationship with your coworkers, with your customer base, and with your, other companies that you're working with.
Yep.
You don't make $1 million off of one person. You make $1
Sure.
off 1,000,000.
That's right.
I love that. That's a good one. That's a good one.
So, what else do you want to get out there?
Let's see. I would love to get out there that we are a great company. Solar is something that should be for everyone and easily accessible for everyone. It's an industry that people should absolutely get into. You know, if you're stuck in a situation where you think like, oh, I'm in a dead end job and I'm never going to grow, and growth is something that's important for you, then dive into it, ask a ton of questions. There's never a terrible question to ask. You know, and if you're interested in a company that already has that culture, then Define Solar is the company that you want to go with.
Cool. Love
Damn.
it.
She crushed it. Oh man. Well, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with
Shannon,
us. Really
thank you so
enjoyed
much.
this
It
conversation.
was great.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me.
We are back.
You say it every time.
I know.
You can't help yourself.
I know. I just can't.
At least you scaled back on the music intro.
Yeah. I got a little. No, I won't do it. Go ahead.
Super excited about our next guest.
Yeah.
Got a few minutes to sit down here with us. Just real quick, just do a brief introduction, name, who you're with, and kind of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. The caffeine's wearing off, so you're settling down a little bit.
Yeah. I can feel it.
I love it. So, Joe Thell, I'm with EV Connect. So we are a charging solutions company.
Okay.
A little bit of my background. So been in the fleet space for over 20 years. I joined EV Connect here in January. Really passionate about the space. Really love what we're, as a company, but also as an industry and a country, really getting ourselves away from that foothold on fossil fuels. So when we think about the advantage that gives us, not only from an environmental perspective, but just across the globe, it's a great thing for us to do. So excited about it, and I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, no, we're excited to have this conversation. So tell us about EV Connect. I mean, what's kind of the gist of the business?
Sure. So we are founded, so we've been in business for over 14 years now. We started off different than other people in the EV charging space. If you think about some of the OEMs that are building a hardware and then they were making software to go with it to make them smart chargers, we're the opposite. So we are the platform. So we built a platform to handle all the things EV charging, some of them that are glamorous, some of them that are not. People will talk about interdependence and compliance with OCPP, for example, different regulations. We make that easy for our customers. We really, we spend a ton of time focusing on that, and then we layer on for the end customer and the end user so they can have a great experience. And our goal is to make sure that everyone that wants to own an EV can have access to it, and that we're working to make sure that there's chargers around the corner so they can feel comfortable to do that, to go cross country.
Yeah.
Who is your main clients? And I mean, who do you usually market to, or for the end? I mean, obviously the end user, but who's your client?
Yeah. So great question. We can go from one charging station to multi, national Fortune 500 companies.
Okay.
I can't spoil it. The press release isn't out yet, but if you look on next week, maybe on Tuesday, you're going to see an announcement from one of the hospitality companies.
Nice.
So you'll get a little glimpse into that.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, be on the lookout for that. So one of many. We go to market in a couple of ways. So we will do work with our Insight House. So we have a network called EV Connect. It's our EV Connect network, where if you're a site host, you want to put a charger on, we can manage that all for you. And then we have what we call partner networks. So if you're somebody like a convenience store, for example, and you want to have no markings of EV Connect, but all of your own, you can do that. And so there's some, we have NDA, so I can't disclose.
Of course. Yeah.
It's powered by EV Connect in the background.
Yep.
But it's been a great thing, and it's been interesting too. That market's really growing, not only from just a brand recognition for a lot of companies in the retail space that want to do that, but from installers. Like earlier today, I gave a session on their the electric. I think it's called the electric drive stage, talking about solar installers and the advantage for them when it comes to EV charging.
Sure.
So, and that's what you do from a network perspective, where they can be their own and they can start it as their own business. So not only if they're installing solar, they can install charging to go right with it. And we provide them all the tools that they need from a network perspective to be successful.
So are you building a network across the country, or are these more localized?
All of the above.
All the above.
All of the
Okay,
above,
cool.
yep.
Yeah.
So, you may or may not have seen it. So NEVI, so one of the first NEVI awards was in Hawaii. So we are the backbone. So we are the network for NEVI, working with sustainability partners and National Car Charge. So we're going to roll out the network for NEVI over there. And we've had awards across the country as well in different pockets. And there's RFPs going out all the time for all that funding because it's done on a state by state level.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So who's your competition?
Each day there's a new name to the list.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, what separates EV Connect from all these other folks that are trying to get in the game?
I appreciate that question. It's almost like lobbing a slow pitch softball. Right. A couple of things. So as I mentioned before, we're not a hardware provider. We are the network solution that sits on it. We work with great hardware providers. So we have many good partners that we're heavily entrenched with. So when it comes to supporting the stations, making sure that everything's up and running, very seamless integration with them. So that's been great. But what it allows us to do is focus our time on that software, and what sets us apart there is that, we've had a network for 14 years. We understand what it takes to deliver to that end customer. You'd be amazed at the driver calls you get. Anytime you get a 24/7 hotline, you get a little bit of everything, but making sure that from the 16-year-old brand new driver, first time charging an EV, to somebody that's in their 80s that's trying to figure out how to use their phone and charge and do all of it. Yep. So making sure that we provide that end-to-end solution, because that support is so important. And whether they're on our network or a partner network of ours where they've got their brand and their label, we're taking care of them so that their end customer is happy. Because if your site host isn't happy, the driver isn't happy, you
right, I'm sure.
Yep.
So I got one probably stupid question, and then one question I think is going to provide value.
Okay.
I'll go with the stupid one.
Okay,
first.
good. Yeah.
I don't own an EV currently.
Okay.
Not that I'm opposed to it by any means. I just haven't taken the plunge. These charging stations, are they universal? Like, does the charger charge every single EV vehicle, or does it only work on Teslas, or is it proprietary in any way? What does that look like?
So that's a great question. I'll give you
Wasn't so dumb.
No, it's the reason why I say it's a great question is a lot of people think about that.
Yeah.
There's been several standards. So there was CHAdeMO, there's CCS, and then there's what you call NACS. And if anybody, has been following a little bit in the news, Tesla is the North American standard, is NACS is what it stands for. But their charger, they've, gotten in with the U.S. auto manufacturers to put their ports in their cars. Starting in 2025 is really when you'll start to see that happen.
Yep.
There's pros and cons to each. There's some good things with NACS. There's some good things with CCS. In Europe, they've got CCS over there as a standard. I think what you'll see, now this is me, just as I look at it and where we're headed, I think you'll see a heavy push towards NACS. From an EV Connect perspective, we're fortunate we don't manufacture the hardware. Our great partners do. Now it's a headache for them.
Sure.
Because now they've got they needed to re-engineer their chargers and put the new cables and ports and make sure everything works correctly.
Yep.
But our software just handles that, and we take that in so that you can do it. But you'll see for a lot of years adapters. Tesla adapter to go to CCS.
Yep.
The reverse adapter that you'll see there as well.
Do you think it will be market driven or regulated like it is in Europe, where all of a sudden we're going to say nope, everyone has to be like this because our phone chargers still are different?
Yep.
How do you see it going here?
Well, Europe, there's a lawsuit over there for your phone chargers as well. So, Apple's having to conform to a standard. Yep. Which will come across. What I believe will happen is the OEMs are going to dictate and drive that. And whichever way we go, the important part is we all go there together. So that eventually when you show up, it's a lot less infrastructure. The adapters work. It's not that big of a deal, but I do believe we'll see that standard.
Yep.
Because each one of the OEMs has been following in line.
Interesting. Well, you said you had a question that adds value.
Well, now I got two.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Just made me think of another one. So why do we even have to have a plug-in charger? I'm thinking like a cell phone thing. You have these pads that you set your cell phone on to charge your cell phone. Why can't a car just drive over a pad, universal pad, and get charged?
Oh, I'm sure that's possible, but Joe will tell us why it's not feasible right now.
It's another charging method. There are companies that are out there that are doing it today. The technology's coming, like it's coming along. You're talking about a ton of electricity though that's flowing between that pad, so you have to be pretty careful. And your vehicles today don't come with the receiver underneath the car.
Gotcha.
So
See, I knew there had to be a reason.
There's some interesting technology, and if you think about it, they're on buses and in some of the larger applications, they've got some wireless charging. There's some things that are going. I think we'll, over the next 5 years, we'll see that continue to advance as long as the throughput can get there, so that you're not having a lot of a loss or it's slower charging experience. You'll get there because, hey, why not? Let's pull into the spot, hop out of the car, don't even have to touch a plug.
Well, how many? Do you have an idea? I mean, I'm sure it's not, but do you have a general idea how many EV charging stations are out in the United States?
So there's over 100,000 charging stations right now. One of the things that we do also for EV Connect, if you're using the EV Connect app, we have roaming with the other major players.
It was like a sharing thing.
It is a sharing.
That's cool.
Which is great. So that if you're a user, last thing you want to do is have to go to 3-4 apps. But there's also technology and plug and charge that's coming along, so that we'll be releasing here over the next year, so that if you just want to plug in, if you're set up, that you can do that, if the station's compatible.
Does EV Connect have the largest network?
We do not have the largest network.
Okay.
Yet.
Correct.
Yeah. What is the business model? I mean, is it a subscription-based thing? Is it a per-use thing? There's probably multiple sources of revenue.
There is. Yep, there is. So from a end customer perspective, so why would a site host come and do business? Why would they want to get into charging? They're making revenue on the charge.
Okay.
And then, like your grocery store chains, your retailers, loyalty points, right? So
Gotcha.
we mentioned hospitality. It's a big push. It's all about loyalty and having those additional amenities for those stores, especially. How do they get that driver in there for 5 more minutes? If they can keep it for 5 more minutes, it's big dollars.
Yeah.
That's more wallet share for them. So, that's the big thing for the site host. And now for, like I mentioned, our partner networks, for example, where they see success is in the installation, in the maintenance of the stations.
Yep.
And then there's ongoing revenue for the software, so that it creates a great business model for them. So they're not just installation, kind of a point and shoot. You go in, you install, and you're done. You go on to the next job. You go in, you install, and now you have a revenue stream that continues for you into the future. And then you're also the maintenance arm. So there's routine maintenance.
Well, when you decide to go to the pads instead of the plug it in, someone's got to go and retrofit 100,000.
Yeah, there you go.
To make that happen. So I can see that.
What are the biggest challenges when it comes to I guess installing a charging station? I mean, obviously there's acquisition, whether it be an easement or by fee or what have you, and then the available infrastructure to support the charging station.
You nailed it exactly. So how much power is coming into the building, or into the lot, wherever you are? Do you have enough power? And that's one of the big things we do. So we'll provide a full turnkey solution if that's what people are looking for. So we can have the installer go out. We do a virtual site walk, so we take a look at the power that's coming in. We do a lot of stuff virtually, but then we'll physically go out and do that assessment, because you're what we call make ready. So it's from the power pole to the charger, and everything in between. That make ready side of the business is important, because if you want to put a DC fast charger in, for example, you may not have enough watts, and you may need to be you may need to have more amps coming in, and that could involve new switchgear, even transformers, depending
Sure.
upon how big your project is. But the other thing too that the software does, not everybody's charging every single time. So you have what we call load management. So you could have 20 chargers. You don't have to have max power to every single of those chargers at every time if you don't have that capability, and it would be really expensive to do. So you manage it with the software.
Interesting.
And we even have people, we have a couple of great partners that have a battery component as part of the charger too. So the batteries is filling, but it allows them to give a really fast charge with not as much draw. So you don't have to have that level of
crazy amp,
service
yeah,
coming in.
Yeah.
And it also helps with your peak and off peak rates too.
Right. So what's the hot, what does everyone want? Is it as fast charge as they possibly can, or as many around? Do they want more, or do they want faster?
It's a great question. So we're seeing it's not quite 50-50. So
Okay.
you're starting to see a little more DC fast charge right now because there's a lot of push for in corridors, in other hot areas where you want to be able to go in and get a quick charge. But your what we call level 2 or your AC chargers, there's tons of demand because for every one of your destinations, your level 2 is a great option, and your make ready cost is a fraction of what it is for fast charging.
Got it.
Do you guys dabble in like residential charging solutions, or is it strictly?
So we don't dabble in residential. So if you think about residential, maybe for lack of a better word, a dumb charger. So you put a charger on the wall and you plug your car in and it charges.
Yeah.
There's no networking. There's no data coming back.
Sure.
But what we are doing is so for fleet applications. So your fleet, your fleet vehicles. So today, where you've got someone that's running a fleet vehicle, they have to stop at a gas station to fill up. Well, tomorrow you can install a charger in their home, and now they can charge the vehicle at night when they're not using it. But you need to compensate them for the power. So we put network chargers there.
Interesting. Yeah, I was thinking that's got to be a challenge. Like, our small firm has got, say 50 company vehicles out there, and our first EV is coming at the end of the year. And we're thinking, okay, great. That's awesome. And then I start thinking about, okay, wait, who's going to charge it? Who's going to make sure it's charged?
Yeah.
Where is that going to happen? We manage, especially in fleet, you manage projects all over the place. Yeah. How do you know, okay, that this given day you're going to have enough to get there and manage through that network? And I'm guessing that's something that you guys have thought about and have a plan for.
We do, and it's important because you've got charging at home, right? You have charging on the road. On the fleet side, that's another interesting application too, because if you think about the convenience store, right? So if you think about somebody's business model, that they really have to look at the future when we think about going from centralized fueling to decentralized fueling. So, days of old, you go to a gas station to fill your vehicle. 98% is happening at the gas station. Now, when you can charge at home, you can charge in all the other places. What does the convenience store do to make sure that their business model is still relevant? And that's part of the things we're doing with the software is how do you attract drivers? What do you do from an incentive perspective, even on fleets, like the fleet cards? They're just used to that business coming to them. Mm-hmm. Well, now how do they get that fleet driver to charge, but then come inside? Come inside and buy this or buy that. So it's about wallet share and how do you do that?
I never even thought about connecting the incentive to the longer you're there or just being there. Yeah. Oh, okay, well, you got to charge for a half hour. Yeah. Come inside, take a look around. You get 20% off your first purchase or something, or you get points at, right. Circle K's business model will eventually suffer if there's not charging stations, right?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
And you think about the margin on a cup of coffee.
Right.
It's pretty lucrative. Pretty lucrative.
Talk about the culture at EV Connect.
So So a couple things. So we were acquired by Schneider Electric in June of last year.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's actually made us the largest EV charging company from a size and scale perspective. We are wholly owned though, so we're able to operate and run our business the way that we need to be because it's a very agile space.
Sure.
We've got the great backing from the organization, and as you know from Schneider Electric, they do everything, all the gear and everything that you need from an electrical perspective, plus microgrids and you name it, anything that you would need. So we got a great partner there. But as when it comes to the culture, we're independent, so we're able to act like a startup and be able to be nimble and really support our customer and be quick to market when new things come up. So it's fast-paced culture. Love the people. It's a great organization. When you think about teamwork, if there's an opportunity that's coming up, everyone's pitching in from our product and engineering to marketing to sales, you name it. We go forward. And the other thing that you'll see too here, in the month of October, I mentioned that it's a platform, but on top of that platform, other providers can ride. So we're actually, we've got a partner network of solution providers that are going to come on as well. One of them is a parking solution. So if you think about charging in parking lots, now you can marry up who's there using video technology, using gate technology, and you can seamlessly integrate all that stuff together. So we become that base layer, and then we can add on those additional softwares. So it's a really exciting time, and I'm thrilled about the technology because it's made in such a flexible way that we can grow. And who knows what the next partner will be, but we're then able to also help them be successful in their business model.
Sure.
That's great.
Sure. It goes back to that, we got to do this together,
Yeah, it's been a general theme is a lot of the different people here recognize they need every partner and all the
right.
network of team because nobody can
do it all.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What else you want to get out there, Joe?
Well, I think that when I think about EV Connect and I think about the opportunity, you look at the stats, from now to 2030.
Yeah.
So we're going to have 6x growth in the,
Crazy.
in the next 7 years.
Yeah.
There are not enough installers. There's not enough infrastructure. So if you're thinking about it, if you're contemplating, hey, do we want to get into this business? We'd love to talk to you. I would say that, when you look at EV Connect, not only from the overall support for the end user, but then support for our partners and for everyone that we work with to help them be successful. Because if they're not successful, we're not successful.
Sure.
So if you're thinking about it, please do reach out to us. We'd love to have a conversation and see if there's something we could do to work together to help us with the ultimate goal of being the world's cloud provider to providing electricity as a fuel. So
that's great.
Appreciate it.
EVconnect.com.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well
Thanks,
said.
Joe. This has been great. Appreciate your time. Really
Gentlemen.
enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Enjoy the show.
You too.